Eat this phone.
Hello, beautiful people. I am your moderator, Ashley Loeb Blassingame. Beginning this year, National Online Recovery Day will be observed on September 22nd during National Recovery Month, driving widespread awareness for online treatment and long-term recovery support programs. To commemorate National Online Recovery Day next month, Lion Rock will be hosting our final interactive panel called Getting Clean and Staying Connected, featuring 3 amazing sober celebrities. Mark your calendars. You do not want to miss this amazing event on Tuesday, September 22nd. Keep a close eye on Lion Rock's social platforms for all the event details, including announcing our 3 sober panelists on September 1st. Without further ado, welcome to our second panel, Living a Sober Lifestyle. Let's do this. All right. We're going to do some intros, ladies. Never before has my hello, beautiful people been so apropos. You wonderful ladies. Let's start with Sarah. Can you give us a quick intro?
Yeah, hi, I'm Sarah Sheppard. I'm an alcoholic and recovering from an eating disorder, and my sobriety date is December 1st, 2010. I do real estate here in LA and also still in Orange County, and I am on a real estate reality TV show called Love and Listings on VH1, and we basically just show some beautiful homes to different athletes and celebrities and a bunch of different kinds of people. So it's mixed in with a little bit of drama, but it's so yeah, it's interesting and definitely a trip to do it all sober. So that's
awesome. Thank you. Bella, we're going to you.
Hi, I'm Bella Baskin. I am also an alcoholic, and I've struggled with eating disorders as well. I just took 11 years sober. My sobriety date is August 6, 2009. And I actually work at Lion Rock. I do social media, and I've been doing that for a few months. And I also own a nonprofit called Blessed Bag that helps provide the homeless with hygiene kits and basic necessities. And I sober companion as well on the side. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. And Jessica.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and I'm also an alcoholic. My sobriety date is June 7th, 2017. So I just had 3 years sober. And I am originally from Denmark. I moved to America when I was 12. And I started modeling when I was around 15. And got into the crazy world of modeling and drugs and rock and roll, or whatever you want to call it. Like I said, I got sober in 2017, and since then I became a student, and I'm in school right now to hopefully go to medical school to help spread awareness about intersex people, which is also something I recently came out about as intersex. So that's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to do an icebreaker here. It's a good one. Probably, you probably all have similar words, but you get one word to describe your social life right now. What would it be? Sarah?
I have somebody else go first. Sorry.
Okay.
Mine would be non-existent.
Okay, good. Bella?
Oh, this is hard. maybe like at a standstill.
Okay, we'll take it.
Okay, I got it. I would say adventurous because I recently got rollerblades and Heelys and I'm trying new things and yeah.
That is adventurous.
Love Haley's.
That's awesome. All right, we're going to hop right into it. Sarah, I'm actually going to start with you. You mentioned in a recent social media post that you were excited, but also nervous to film another season of VH1's Love and Listings. Can you discuss what helped you get through filming and how your sobriety is affected being in an industry so centered around social networking events that include drinking?
Yeah. Well, yeah, so the first season it was a lot of work and it was different than I expected, like good and bad. And I remember after filming season 1, I had reached out to you and I did a podcast with you and you were so amazing and helpful and hooked me up with a therapist with Lion Rock, Joanna, who is amazing. And so that was really pretty much what helped me get through the next season. It was a totally different experience too. And I am like looking back, I'm so grateful that I ended up doing the show and like didn't, because for a minute I was like, I don't know if I want to do this again. It's, you know, I do real estate. Like I don't want to engage in drama and people like to watch, you know, a little bit of drama. So, so trying to kind of navigate that was really scary for me and difficult and uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. So yeah, I worked with Joanna and she really, really helped me get some more tools and like how to deal with different personalities. I also did get in touch with this amazing woman, Janine, who is an alignment coach. And so she helped me kind of like stay in my truth and just really work on, sorry, my little Beverly, she's on the show this season too. It's a pug. But she really helped me to, yeah, stay in my truth and also just not engage when somebody was kind of, you know, like it was really uncomfortable for me to be around. There's one girl on the show and she's on her path and I wish her the best because she's, you know, working through her stuff too. And I just kind of walked away from it and I had such a different experience. Like I just kind of focused on what I do, which is real estate and just sharing my truth. And it was just such a better experience. Like I had so much fun and was able to really like push through. And it definitely like showed me a lot about myself that like I am strong and I can get through that. And because I think in the past when I would deal with conflict or drama, I would just like block or run away and not deal with it. So like I had to deal with it. Like this is a job. I'm, you know, paid to be around this person or people that that aren't like the easiest to be around. So I really just had to like push through it and like really rely on my program, my sponsors, meetings and therapy and support to like really be able to push through that.
Did you have any special accommodations or did you ever like any specific things that you asked for while you were shooting?
Yeah. So luckily, like I really have the people that work on my show are really amazing. And from the beginning, I told them like my sobriety is number one. If, you know, like that's a non-negotiable, like I have to keep that number one. And because if I lose that, I lose everything. And like, there's just, yeah, that's like my number one thing. So for example, we had a cast trip to Palm Springs at this gorgeous property. It was huge. And there was a lot of drinking and partying. So I just told them like, look, I need to have my own space. I need my own room. I need to like feel comfortable. If it's too much or like it's getting like too difficult, I need to be able to get out of there and walk away and, you know, just pray and meditate or do my thing or call my sponsor and I need privacy. And they were totally accommodating. They got me my own like huge suite, and it was so nice. So that was really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to switch gears here and move to another question. Thank you so much for that, Sarah. Bella, congratulations on 11 years of sobriety this month. That's amazing. Were you worried getting sober so young that you weren't going to have fun anymore? And how did getting sober so young affect your lifestyle?
Yeah, so I got sober at 19. And, I definitely needed to take a break from that lifestyle because I was definitely like partying and going to clubs and all that stuff. And, I needed to take some space, but I was able to return, and my first party back was a Halloween party, and I had like 6 months of sobriety, and I just had to like break the ice and like the discomfort and just be like, okay, no one's thinking about whether or not I'm drinking. Like, I don't need to give everyone, of course, like my close friends knew what had been going on with me, but like the people who didn't, I didn't really need to like over explain myself like to them and be like, oh, I'm not drinking, and like I went to rehab and like all that stuff. Like I could just be like, no, I'm good, thanks. And,
You didn't get on the mic, tell everybody?
Maybe there already is alcohol in my drink, it's Red Bull, but maybe it is, or like maybe I already had a drink, or like maybe I'm just good right now. Like they don't know that. And so I had to like kind of just get outside of myself and be like, no one's thinking about what I'm doing. And, when I was able to just like finally just like kind of force it at first to like, dance and like let loose and like have fun, then I was able to enjoy myself more than I ever could when I was drinking or using, because I was always so focused on getting the next drink or getting the next fix or the drug or the, I have to have a cigarette, and it would take me out of the moment. And so when I'm, being sober and like dancing and like having fun with my friends, I can really be present in the moment and be laughing and having fun. And then that's when I get the questions about like, hey, what are you on? And it's like, I'm not on anything, I'm just like that's the beauty of it, is like I'm not on anything. I don't need anything to like be able to have fun. So yes, I was worried about that. But I was quickly able to realize that, it's really just about checking in with my intentions. And of course now I'm like 30 and I'm in a serious relationship, and like partying isn't really as enjoyable for me as it once was. Like I'm like, I miss my bed. I want to be home with my boyfriend or my dogs. Like that's kind of more my, deal now. But I definitely like went to all the festivals and the raves, and like I had to check with my intentions, and my intention wasn't to like go be around people who are getting loaded. My intention was to like get dressed up, because I went to school for costume design and makeup. So like get dressed up, take pictures. Like I love like EDM music. Like I love to dance. And like, that's why I was going out, is because I really enjoyed those things about going out. And of course, there are like some places that I still didn't enjoy, like clubs and stuff that are just playing like top 20 like hits. Like that was not my scene. But when I went to like a festival and I was really able to like let loose and be creative and like have that outlet, then that's why I was there. It wasn't because like there was drugs and alcohol there. If anything, drugs and alcohol took away from that stuff for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Just a reminder to people watching, feel free to submit questions through our Facebook, Lion Rock Recovery. We have people feeding the Facebook questions, and we can have our panelists answer them. Jessica, I'm going to jump to you. You recently shared your story on the Courage to Change podcast. It was so eye-opening to hear the difficult journey that the intersex community faces. How did you get to the point of feeling comfortable in your own skin without drinking or using drugs?
That's a good question. I mean, it definitely is all about just taking your time and learning to ask for help and realizing that you don't know everything yourself. I think that the number one advice that someone gave me when I was new is like, your head is what got you here. So you need to listen to somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get yourself out of the situation. And honestly, the only thing I did was, before I made any decision or literally anything that in my gut I knew, like, oh, like if this goes south or the other way, like that I don't want it to go, like I might be at risk for like some kind of emotional trauma, or like just like not know how to handle it, you know. And because I was newly sober, and so I would call my sponsor, I would call another alcoholic, just anybody who's sober and is in the right mind to give you advice. That's what I would do, and I would listen to that advice. And I think that that's a really hard thing for people to do. But when I got sober, I think that I was ready to like give up all of the control of my life, because it had spun out of control. And I was ready to trust somebody else with my life. And just taking that advice was definitely the biggest thing and best gift that I've received, because being able to listen to somebody else, you know, is like a really important thing, I think. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. We said, you can't fix your broken brain with your broken brain.
Right.
So, okay, Sarah, I'm going to jump back to you. Sober dating is something that many young people are afraid of when they're new to recovery. How did you deal with dating while sober? Were you afraid that people would judge you? And what tools did you use to support that process?
Yeah, so when I first got sober, obviously it was like suggested to kind of stay out of a relationship and work on yourself. And I don't think I did that. I think I was like in a relationship. It was so long ago, I can't even remember. But I was in like a couple of relationships like in my earlier 20s. And then when I moved to LA, I kind of just really got focused on my career and myself and my recovery, and kind of took a break from it and just needed to really develop a stronger relationship with my higher power, God, whatever you want to call like your higher power. Because what I saw from my patterns was I was putting a lot of my happiness and worth in a relationship or attention or just a lot of outside stuff, even like with the show or like the way I looked and like all these different things. And it just kept leading me to like not being fulfilled, disappointing me. And so it's been like a really good, a lot of work journey, because I feel like when you get sober, it's like, okay, I put down the alcohol and eventually then the eating disorder and all those things that I used to like numb out. But I've really had to dig deep and really focus on my relationship with God and learning how to have healthy relationships. It's a lot of work. So that's like, and what I noticed my patterns was like when it got difficult or uncomfortable, I would run. I'd be like, I'm out. I'm going to go date somebody else or like find another person really quick. And that never worked. It was like the same person over and over, just a different face. So basically like, especially this last year, Joanna, my Lion Rock therapist, really helped me. Janine, who I mentioned, who's my relationship alignment coach. And then even just this last week, I was in a meeting and this girl, London, was sharing, and I had met her a while ago. And that was like a total God shot because I really needed her this week. And I reached out to her, and she's a relationship coach too. And then she showed me this book, it's #healthy adult, which I needed. So I need to be a healthy adult. Really hard for me sometimes. So yeah, but this has been I already read half the book. I'm going to finish it today, hopefully, I think. But that was really eye-opening for me too, because I think that I kind of avoided relationships for a couple years because I don't know, when you get into one, it's like a mirror and you're having to look at yourself and like see your patterns and see how you deal with situations. And so recently I have gotten in a relationship and the guy is totally amazing. And I really had to like look at myself and I can quickly like be really excited and happy in a relationship, especially when it's new, but I really have to like take a step back and put God first, put my program first, put, you know, friends, family, like don't just kind of put that to the side. So, and also just kind of like look at, I think when I tend to feel uncomfortable, I want to like fix it. And I had to learn that too with the show, because when I got into drama or whatever, like an uncomfortable feeling with one of the girls on the show, like I want to fix it, like let's be friends. And sometimes it's like people need space, and I need to learn like I have to take space for myself and like process those feelings and feel uncomfortable and like sit there in pain or uncomfortable feelings and work through that. Because I'll tend to like want to fix it and like make things better so that I don't feel uncomfortable, and people process things differently. And so I've really had to learn to like take that space.
Sorry.
All the dogs. Yeah, so it's been like so much, you know, good and bad, pain and growth, but I've also had to learn like I have to go through some painful stuff to get more growth. Like that's the only way to grow, which that was new for me too, because I like to be happy all the time. I like to be drunk all the time. Because for a while it was fun until it wasn't. And I like to feel good all the time. So sitting in uncomfortable feelings it's taken me a long time to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. And I relate to so much of that. We got a question from, we have actually a couple questions that I want to open up to Bella and Jessica to add to this. So to add to the sober dating question, Gail wanted to know, did you tell people you were sober from the start?
I guess I'll go. Did I tell people I was sober from the start? I personally did, because I was very comfortable with that, but I also know people who aren't comfortable telling people they're sober. You know, if that's the case, you could just say like, I'm just not drinking right now if people are asking you if you're drinking, or you could just not say anything. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to say anything. You could just like, I mean, put some water in your cup with some ice, like, you know what I mean? But for me, I personally did tell people I was sober right away, just because it was something I've always been a very open person. And I think that that's something that was like very relevant in my life, and obviously still is. I'm still sober, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I think that it was important for me to tell other people my truth, because I'd been hiding who I was and the real me, and like what I was passionate about and what I was like as a person for so long, that I just really felt the need to just tell my truth, you know, that I'm going like, and what I'm going through right now, you know? And I also wanted to help other people. And, you know, with my platform, I feel like if I tell my truth and tell other people that I'm sober, which you definitely don't have to, but I'm comfortable doing that. And I think that that's an amazing way to help other people.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Whoops. Sorry. That's a great perspective. Bella, did you tell people that you were sober from the start? And Gail was curious what sober dating was like, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, so I personally, you know, I need to just be honest and upfront because my sobriety is first. So I don't believe in keeping it a secret. If it's something that I'm like ashamed of or embarrassed of, then I'm most likely not going to stay sober. So I'm pretty like adamant about that. Like if someone has a problem with my sobriety, then it's just not going to work out. And you know, I've dated people who aren't sober, and they're supportive. You know, they're supportive of my sobriety. And you know, now I'm dating someone who has 6 months more than I do. So eventually, you know, I think the more like healthy and well I became, the more I wanted to date someone who was in recovery too, because they have that specific like understanding and language, and we can really like relate and connect on that. But you know, I've dated potheads, and it was, you know, I needed to learn from those experiences, but it never worked out. You know what I mean? Because I think really like it's about lifestyle. And if you're, you know, dating someone who like randomly drinks here and there, sure, and you're sober, okay. But if you're dating someone who's like smoking pot all the time and you're fully sober, you're just like on completely different playing fields. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bella. I'm going to jump to Bella, I'm going to jump to a question for you. Your social media has been blowing up over your recent partnership with Black China and the nonprofit organization you started. Blessed Bag gives people a helpful alternative to giving money to the homeless, which can oftentimes be harmful, as we know. You clearly take giving back to be an important part of your life. How does having gotten sober play a part in that?
Yeah. So obviously, like being sober, or maybe not obviously, but a big part of being sober is being of service and like helping another alcoholic. And you know, a lot of people who are homeless are struggling with addiction and alcoholism. And you know, I didn't want to give them money because I knew that they would probably most likely, not all of them, but a lot of them would spend it on drugs or alcohol or cigarettes. And you know, like if that's what they need to make it through the day, like by all means, but I don't think that's what they actually really need to like survive, you know? So I wanted to give them the items that most likely their money wasn't going to go to, so that they could just have a better quality of life. And I wanted to give other people a way to be of service as well. And like Jessica has volunteered, and she's like a brand ambassador for Blessed Bag. And she's like a big part and always involved and always wants to help. And that's what I really wanted for people, is to give them a way that they could be of service as well. So the idea about Blessed Bag, that idea is that people buy the bags online and they keep them in their car, or like bring them on the subway with them if they're in New York or whatever. We ship all over the US, and the idea is that you buy the bags online, you keep them in your car, and then when you see someone who's experiencing homelessness, you give them a bag with basic necessities, and there's 26 different items in them: water, socks, underwear, you know, chapstick, deodorant, lotion, sunscreen, all the things that they need to just like get through the day. So yeah.
Has that helped you build community in your life by doing that?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been really cool to see like the connections I've made, and people who have like been supportive or posted about it or wanted to be involved or wanted to partner, or, you know, like collaborate on events, or it's grown into so much more than I really thought it could be. And I've built relationships with like certain shelters and other organizations, because part of Blessed Bag too is that when you buy the bags, $1 per bag goes to a charity of your choice. So it's kind of just like a one-stop shop for giving, but also like I just wanted to cut out that middleman of like, oh, I give you money and then like, where does it go? Like, we're not really sure. Like, I wanted people to really experience themselves how good it feels to give, because like, you know, that 10 seconds where you're being of service to another person or another alcoholic is like the 10 seconds of the day where you're not like thinking about yourself. And that's really like what helps us, is to just like get outside of ourselves, because we're so like self-obsessed and like, what do they think? And what are we like, who liked my picture on Instagram? And like, you know what I mean? It's like the 10 seconds where you're just like doing something nice for someone else is like the best moment of your day. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. We're going to move to a listener question. This is a good one. Does anyone have a higher power different from God? This is from Kathleen. Thank you, Kathleen. Does anyone want to jump on that?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely do. Mine, it was really hard for me to think of my higher power as like a God, and especially like a he, him, his God, because I grew up in private Catholic school. I went to Catholic church and everything like that, and nothing against religion, you know what I mean? I think it's a great thing for some people. But for me, it was just hard to like build my life on a higher power that for me didn't really work before, you know what I mean? Even I don't know, like I didn't know how to interact with this type of higher power. So for me, I just started small. Like I was like, okay, like the trees and the wind and like the sky is like that's what's surrounding me. And to me, my higher power is just like everything, like the atoms, the trees, the wind that's surrounding me right now, that's leading my way, you know what I mean? And just showing me that everything's going to be okay. And like my intuition and everything like that is like my higher power speaking through me. And when you're sober, you like get to learn this intuition and you feel it, whether you want to feel it or not. But I think that for me, that just shows that like everything that's around me, like nature, the sun, whatever it is, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like a person in the sky. Is like that's what helps me think of a higher power, because that really is something that's greater than myself. You know, I can't stop the sun or the wind or whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Awesome. Very relatable. Anyone else have a higher power that's different than God?
I can share on it real quick. Because I went to Catholic school too. And I just really thought God was like angry at me. And if I wasn't perfect, then I was doing something wrong. And, you know, I struggled with that when I first got sober, because I was also really angry. Like I kind of wanted a Santa Claus God. My sponsor tells me that it's called, because I just wanted everything to be good. And I didn't understand, like going through these struggles, like with alcohol and an eating disorder, like I was really angry and frustrated. Like, what? That's really rude, God. Like, thanks a lot for, why am I struggling with this? And what I've kind of discovered is also I kind of go like this last year, I've been really trying to build my relationship with a higher power and like read a lot of books. Like I've mentioned to you on the podcast, Gabrielle Bernstein was really helpful. Her books, Wayne Dyer. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like my sponsor has me read something spiritual every day to kind of grow my conception of God or higher power, whatever you want to call it. And so like, especially this last year, I've been able to really look at difficult situations or things that were hard or made me angry and like see the gift in that and like see how those things were all like the way, like be an acceptance and like God had those happen for me to grow and to get to a better place eventually. Just in the moment, it's kind of like hard to see that, but I just had to practice a lot of prayer, meditation, faith, trust, like all of that. So yeah, it's been really good. Like it's a journey for sure. And I'm constantly working at it. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Awesome. Thank you. We have another question from Margarita. How long into sobriety did you guys feel comfortable in sharing your story with others? Bella, you want to take that?
Sure. You know, I think it's like, it depends on who it is and how much you want to share. You know what I mean? It like, I guess like I'll use like my parents as an example. Like they didn't know that heroin was a part of my story. Like my dad did, but my mom and my stepdad didn't. And so I really had to like share the full extent of everything so that they could understand like why I really needed to be sober. Like they knew that like, you know, she's drinking too much or whatever, but like they didn't know how dark it really got. And so I had to wait like a few months to like share that with them. And like we did it in a therapy session. And you know, it depends like on who it is and how comfortable you are with them, how much you want them to know. Like if it's like your employer, you're probably not going to tell them like all that stuff, obviously, like not with me and Ashley, because I work for Lion Rock, but so she obviously knows that. But, you know, it depends on how much you want everyone to know. If it's a complete stranger, like they don't need to know all that about you. If it's someone that you really like love and you think that you have a future with them and you want to date them, then pretty soon, pretty early on, I would say, you know, because I think it's really about being honest, and just like owning your truth and owning your story. And like, if anything, if they're meant to stay in your life, they're going to love the fact that you're being vulnerable with them. And that's going to be attractive to them. It's not going to scare anyone away. If you're talking about something that you've overcome, you know? So.
Love that. Yeah, definitely. We have, okay, here's the question from Nicole. She says, I have a friend who has recently become sober, but her spouse still drinks and uses, not to excess, but still almost every day. Her being sober has really changed their dynamic now, and it's almost like starting over, though they've been together almost 12 years. Any words of advice for her on how to navigate sober living with a spouse who does continue to drink and smoke?
I would definitely say boundaries need to be in place for sure. I mean, like, you know, when you're in a relationship and you live with somebody else, even though you like share your whole life with them, you still have to have boundaries. And that's something that newly sober people sometimes don't understand or can even comprehend, you know, like definitely like be talking to other alcoholics and really listen to yourself about what feels right and what doesn't, you know what I mean? Like in your gut, like that person in the relationship, in their gut, like they will know like what they feel comfortable with and what they don't. And if they truly listen to themselves and listen to what they're comfortable with and talk about what they're not comfortable with, then they should be fine, you know what I mean? But if you are just putting up with something just because you're afraid of what's going to happen if you don't, then, you know, that's where potentially a problem could arise. That's what I would say.
Anyone else want to hop in on the wife getting sober and the husband continuing on? Any words of wisdom on that? Oh, okay. Sarah and Jessica, they asked, was it hard for Sarah and Jessica, was it hard to come back to your job and life being sober, working alongside others who were still living in the crazy? Was there a lot of pressure, or did they respect your decision? Did you fear coming back to work, or were you super confident in your skin?
Well, for me personally, like when I stopped drinking, I didn't have the career that I have now. The only reason I have it is because I got sober. So I'd have to say like, yeah, so I got into real estate like pretty early on in my sobriety, and it was really hard. Like it's a hard business, and I'm not a good test taker, so that was really difficult, and I felt like really frustrated and dumb, but I just applied like what I did with my sobriety, because I didn't get sober the first time around. Like I didn't want to stop drinking. I was like 21 years old. So I kept coming back. I didn't give up. And so basically like I think the reason I've been able to be successful in my business is because I've used all the tools that I did getting sober. Like I had to learn to like keep trying and not give up and be honest and like be a good person and show up. And so that really helped me with everything in my career. And I don't typically tell people like I'm sober in my business. I do it like, you know, here or like if I get asked, because for me, when I was struggling with an eating disorder, and with alcohol, I thought I was alone. Like I thought I was the only girl in college that had these issues. And so when I started hearing other people talk about their struggles and like that I wasn't just the only person, it like gave me hope. And so that's why like I'm not typically the type of person that's like, hey, like I'm sober, I'm this, that, but like I want to do it because that's what helped me. And if I can just help one person, then it's all worth it to me. So I think that's also been like kind of difficult to like having this career and knowing like, do I tell them I'm sober or not? Like I typically don't bring that up, but if somebody ever needs help or I get asked to like speak or something, I'll always do it because I don't want anyone to feel like they're alone and they're the only one with this stuff, because you're not. And there's a lot of support and help out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are a lot of us out there. Jessica, I have a question for you specifically that kind of wraps into the question that Sarah answered, which is, so you're a very accomplished international model, 10 years in the business now. Many of your years in the industry have been colored by using substances, many of which were to stay thin. You recently shared an encounter you had when you were about to take a job where a photographer made you uncomfortable. How did you handle this situation? And how do you think you would have handled it if you had not been sober?
So, a photographer about 2 weeks ago recently, just to clarify, but a photographer about 2 weeks ago recently, I went to a callback for a casting, which I'd been requested for. I was the only girl they called back. And I went in, tried on the clothes, everything was great. And then walking out the door, the photographer was like, "Can you lose some weight in like a week?" And I was like, I mean, I can try my best, but I can't lose weight in a week. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, thankfully, I've learned how to control like my impulses. So I wasn't like, fuck you, like I wanted to be, but I called my agent and I was like, fuck him. And I like, but the way that I've learned to handle that now is just, you know, like I have to make decisions for me that I know make me feel good and don't put more stress on my life and my sobriety than I already have, especially with everything going on right now with like COVID and being isolated and everything being non-normal. You know, I know that I have to make decisions for me where I feel good about myself. And that job, because they still wanted to book me, even though he asked me to lose weight, they still wanted to book me. And I said, I told my agent, I don't want to work for them. And thankfully she was very supportive, which is like one of the first experiences I've had being honest and open with my agency. Because in the past, like Ashley said, I did justify a lot of my drug use and everything like that because it helped me stay thin. And when I was like the most sick and the most thin from drugs, I made the most money. And I used to, people used to tell me all the time, "Oh, you're too fat, you're too fat, you're too fat." Then I got on a ton of drugs and I got really skinny. And they're like, "Oh, you look great, you look great, you look great." And then they're like, "Oh, you're too skinny now." And then, so it's like, I could never get it right? So even now I have like, you know, a little over 3 years, hearing that was, you know, triggering for me. It's not like once you get sober, everything's not just like magic and rainbows and you never feel like shit anymore. You know what I mean? Like I definitely felt it, and but I took the right steps. The first thing I did walking out of the casting was call my sponsor, who then told me to call my agent and be honest with her. You know, and those are things I would never ever have done before. I would have honestly went home and been like, fuck these people. I'm gonna do coke for 2 weeks and then I'm going to be so skinny, like I'll fit into like the skinnier size, whatever. Like I really would do that and I really would succeed. You know what I mean? And that's a scary and slippery slope to go down, especially in this career. But I also think that that's why for me, because I'm not naturally like runway skinny, like some girls really are naturally runway, like thin. I'm more of like a little bit curvier. I'm definitely naturally thin, you know what I mean? But I'm happy in my body. And that's why I've kind of like navigated towards a different career in a way like where I'm not just judged on my weight and my appearance, you know what I mean? Because that's also a very superficial world to be in, and you have to be very hard-headed. And yeah, so I think that I've just learned to, you know, do what feels good for me and protect my sobriety at all costs, and do things, yeah, that I feel good about.
Awesome. And great job doing that. That's incredible. I'm sure that wasn't easy. Um, for all of us got sober very young. I got sober at 19, and I think you ladies were in the rough age range of early 20s. What was your biggest fear getting sober that young? What was when you know, obviously we all made the decision to do it, so it was worth it, but what was the fear? What did you think was going to happen when you got sober that young?
I'll answer it. I also got sober at 19, as I said before. And yeah, I think it was just the fear of missing out, or like not having fun, or not being included anymore, or like losing my friends. There was a lot of fear around that. And like, yes, I did lose some friends, but like the friends I lost were like just people who were using buddies essentially, and they weren't really like real friends. And the friends that I kept, you know, some people like came back around like later in, like one of my best friends growing up, it's actually her birthday tomorrow, but she and I were best friends using buddies, like, and I got sober, I have 11 years now, and she has like 3, you know, so it took a lot of years for her coming in and out to get it, but eventually we were able to like reconnect. So like those friendships that are meant to stay will stay, or they'll like evolve or change or like come back around. But yeah, it was definitely scary. I mean, it's a completely different change, different way of life, and fear of the unknown, you know. And I think like something that just helped me is like people always said like, we'll gladly refund your misery. And you know, drugs and alcohol aren't going anywhere. So if you ever, you know, want to go back, you can. And I was always like, well, what if I don't, you know, like, am I not going to drink wine on my wedding night? And like, that's just like the alcoholic delusion of like, since when do I drink wine? I don't drink wine. I drink vodka out of like a half-gallon handle. Like I don't drink a glass of wine. So why would I start on my wedding night? And that glass of wine would probably turn into, you know, half-gallon of vodka, and then I'd ruin my wedding night. So that's just like the illusion or delusion or whatever you want to call it, of that like fantasy of alcohol. That's not like the reality of it.
I definitely think that the scariest thing for me, definitely I was scared of missing out and everything like that, but I was mostly scared of like not being confident anymore and being socially awkward and being uncomfortable in my own skin, because I felt so uncomfortable in my own skin and I didn't know who I was as a person, and I didn't know how to talk to you sober. I never learned how to talk to people sober. I never learned how to interact with anybody really sober. You know what I mean? I was on my own from age 15, you know, and I really didn't have any tools. And so it was scary starting out without your like comfort blanket and not like believing in yourself. I was like a scared little like fragile bird, you know what I mean? I didn't know how to do anything or how to talk to anybody. And like slowly but surely I've built that up, and I'm able to have a normal conversation with people, you know what I mean? And believe in myself and be confident and everything like that. But especially like in the job that I was in, I was like, how am I ever going to shoot without snorting oxys before? Or how am I even ever going to drive a car again? Because honestly, I was worried about driving without being high on oxys because I was scared of it. Like literally, like that's how low confidence I had in myself. You know what I mean? Like I just didn't think I could do anything without it. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, my biggest fear was just like not being drunk ever again. Like I loved being drunk, like wasted. And also just like I I was just in so much fear of like being able to like do life without controlling or like not eating or, you know, doing weird stuff with food. And what I've been able to find is that I really thought like my life's over, like this sucks. But and at first it was hard. Like I really couldn't even look at alcohol for a while. But once I like got spiritual relief and like worked, you know, the program and the steps, like, and that obsession to drink like was totally removed. I found that I can still have that like high that I got off alcohol, but it's different and it's way better. And it's like this good feeling, like I get really happy and I'm like having so much fun. It's not like all the time, but like I just didn't realize like that is actually, you can have like, you can feel that good without anything, without substances. And that's been like such a amazing gift for me. And like then later on I ended up being able to go out, you know, like I always would check my motives, like, you know, am I in a bad place? Like, should I be around alcohol? But if my motives were like, no, I want to, because I didn't want to get sober and like be stuck in the house or like not be able to go party and stuff. And so eventually, like, I was able to like go out and go to clubs and have fun. And like everyone, I would think I was saying before, like everyone would just think I was like, I'm like the most wasted person because I'll be dancing and like acting crazy. And it's so fun because most everyone is wasted. So they don't even remember and you can just like have fun and be, you know, like I just learned to have like a lot of fun with it. And like, and then it's amazing because I get to go home and like not ever be hungover and wake up and like not feel that shame and guilt and like what did I do. And so it's really cool. Like I'm just like grateful that I've been able to find that like ability to have so much fun being sober. It's like it's awesome. So
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here and for showing all the viewers that alcoholics are not just old men under a bridge with a brown paper bag. I think you guys made that point really clear. And thank you to everybody who watched us live today. We hope you will join us for our final panel on September 22nd. Mark your calendars to commemorate National Online Recovery Day. We will be answering questions from our listeners live and discussing getting clean and staying connected during these crazy times. Don't forget to check the Lion Rock Facebook page where we will be announcing our 3 sober celebrity panelists. In the meantime, head over to our podcast, the Courage to Change a Recovery podcast, and you can listen to each of our panelists' stories, recovery stories in detail. Everybody, all 3 of these wonderful ladies have told their stories on the podcast. Thank you again so much to each of you and to everybody watching, and we will see you on September 22nd.
bye.